All right, boom. We are live and recording. Melanie, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, thanks for having me, Josh. I'm excited to be here.
Oh man, no, I'm excited and just so honored for you to take the time out of your busy schedule to be here. I mean, you're just absolutely crushing it. You're up to so many big things, and I'm just excited for all of us to learn from what you've done and what you continue to do. And with that being said, this is the first time we've had you on the podcast. And just to give a little bit of backstory, so for all of those that are watching, listening, all of our subscribers, to get an idea of what your journey's been. So let's kind of start. I mean, now you're not just a realtor, but you're a massive brokerage owner. You guys are expanding and expanding to multiple different locations, which we'll get into all of that. But you just had this amazing career. And for Wind the Clocks, like, how did this journey begin for you? I mean, why real estate? What led you into real estate in the first place?
Sure. I mean, I got into real estate because I had a lot of family members in real estate. So it came real natural. It was kind of like, this is what we do in our family. And so being in real estate, flipping homes, kind of going into every aspect of it led me to the next phase was kind of owning my own brokerage. And I met Charles Benton, and he was starting, with First Class, and was like, let's just grow this thing together. So that's what we've been doing for the past 2.5, almost 3 years now, is just kind of growing and expanding. And without First Class, I don't know if we would be this far along, just all the tools that we've had, but the camaraderie and kind of bringing everything together, and also a lot of work has kind of brought us to where we are. But for me, it was natural to get into real estate, being a mom of 4 kids. I'm a single mom of 4 kiddos. So it was a nice balance for me owning the brokerage side. So although the brokerage is a lot of work, it kind of took me out of being in production, being more on the back end. And I was able to kind of replicate what I was doing to 200 plus agents, give them the support and the knowledge that I had, and be able to also balance that up, give a little bit more time to my kiddos too.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. So just kind of going back to the journey a little bit here, so you mentioned that your family had always been in real estate. Was there any kind of deviation from the journey? Because sometimes it's like, okay, we want to go do our own thing, find our own path. Or will you like graduate high school, jump right into real estate? Or did you go out there and kind of dabble in other things just to see if other things were for you? Or has it always
Yeah,
been?
flipping first, more flipping houses first, because it was just a good time. I did real estate mostly in Chicago before moving to Georgia 7 years ago. So a lot of flipping was, it's still very active there. You can go into neighborhoods really anywhere in the US, but going to neighborhoods, and that's what our family was doing. We had a construction company, so it was really easy to go in and start, kind of jumping into that. But I think being an entrepreneur is really just what I loved. So I also went and opened a yoga and wellness center because I got into yoga, and then I built that up. I built it up to 2,000 patrons in 2 years and sold it. So it wasn't what I wanted to do, but I loved the idea of building and growing something. And so that was kind of the draw for me, was how many things can I build, open, and sell, build, open, and sell, and I can keep growing them. But I never wanted to get away from real estate. So this time in my life is build, not sell. It's just build and keep growing and growing and growing within real estate, because real estate's really more my passion. Yoga and wellness was great, and it was so good for me to grow something, but I didn't have passion for it like I do for this. I just love the real estate market, mortgage, title. There's so much more to expand off of it. And I'm not a very calm person. So a little high energy for yoga.
Yeah.
But the and owning is definitely my thing.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it gives you that control of your own fate, if you will.
Yeah. Hmm.
Which I think is what attracts so many entrepreneurs to just entrepreneurship in general. Those that are kind of unemployable because of that fact.
Right.
So then when you moved to Georgia 7 years ago, was that when you got into not just flipping, but then kind of started as a realtor and getting into the sales side of things as well?
Yeah, so I was started to hear again, kind of started over, was able to build my career up really fast, found a little bit of a niche in the North Georgia mountains, seeing that not as many agents were competing there. So started building that up really quickly, and grew my business quite fast in 2 years. And then after 2 years, I started getting into the brokerage side.
Okay. And well, let's talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind, because, and I think now today, not that niching down hasn't always been extremely important, but the way I see the industry going, I believe that it's more important than ever before to
Yeah.
really niche down, because it allows you to solve your clientele's problems at a higher level, and so forth. How did you, niche down, because you mentioned that you found a market that wasn't so saturated, that there was opportunity. What was that process like?
Sure. So moving to Georgia, obviously I knew how it felt to move to a new state. And I had a son who had some health concerns, and moving out of state, out of the cold, was ideal for him. So it was a fast move. I didn't have a lot of time to think about what am I going to do when I restart my business in Georgia. It was like, let's go and then figure it out. And so I found that just in my little area within the first month, I kind of seen that there was so many people competing, and I had taken a drive up to the North Georgia mountains just to hike because I'm an avid hiker, love hiking. And I seen that there was a lot of people from out of state, a lot of Florida cars, a lot of New York cars at the parking lot of Amicaloa Falls. And I started thinking like, well, maybe up here people are buying secondary properties or maybe just wanting to move to the North Georgia mountains. So started researching and just threw an ad, $25 ad in a, Realtor paper. You don't even have those anymore, but they were like in a little box. And I was like, let me just throw my name in there. And I ended up getting a very like wealthy, well-known client from that ad, which started my career. I actually didn't even know their last name was what it was until I really took a step back and was like, wait, what? I just got this person from a $25 ad, which really launched my career because they had, some big moves they were making here in Georgia. And that opened the door up for me to start to get a lot of referral based business. But it was a lot of Florida clients, a lot of New York clients, out of state buyers. And I can relate to doing, virtual tours for them, not having them have to fly down. I would know to how it felt on my side. My agent did that for me here when I was moving. I bought my home sight unseen. I never seen it before I closed. And so I did a lot of virtual tours and going out and making sure that my clients were getting videos of properties as opposed to having them fly in here. So my niche kind of became, I don't need you to come. I'm going to get all the tools that I'll put everything together and go get you the home, show you the home. So when you do come here for a quick weekend, we have 3 houses to see, not 20. So it was just for me, it was working with a lot of out of state clients, buying either a home in the North Georgia mountains or a second home.
Yeah. Yeah. And kind of what a blessing you were so ahead of the transitions we had to make in COVID times because you were
Right.
already operating that way. So when all this hit, I'm guessing you're like, oh, dude, this is business as usual for me.
I tell the agents, I said, when you work with wealthy clients, they don't have time. Well, anybody, even whether not like, multi-million dollar buyers, they still have jobs. So the less time you make them run around seeing homes with you is less time that you have to waste their time. But I could take my kiddos with me to go see properties virtually. I would record a lot of them and then send them to them while they were sitting at their work or wherever they were out of state, and they could see those homes and not have to come see 20 homes in a weekend. I narrowed it down for them, videoed the whole community, make sure that they've seen everything. Then we're only spending maybe 3 hours together on a whole weekend and we can write an offer. So deals moved fast because I did a lot of upfront work.
Yeah. And this is something I talk to agents all the time about becoming that information portal for your own local markets. This was about 4 or 5 years ago. I have a software company in Champaign, Illinois, and we thought we're going to have to relocate there. And it was like, okay, well, I could go on Zillow and find the homes, but like it took us jumping on an airplane, flying 2,000 miles to go see the schools, see the, local health clubs. Like we could not figure out what it was like to live in that area without that. And you bridged that gap where it's like, hey, we're going to showcase what lifestyle looks like, and answer all those fears and concerns. You were that go-to person.
Yeah, and it was huge. And I tell agents that, you want to make sure that you're giving so much value. We're not just glorified door openers. We don't just open doors, here's a home. How much value can you show on the front end to your clients? When you do that, they appreciate that so much, and they don't expect you to always do it. If they're in town, they're not like, where's all my videos? But even clients who are local appreciate you going out to a home and videoing it for them while they're sitting and they can look at it really quick at lunch, as opposed to like, oh, I got to go at 6 o'clock to see it, when they may not even like the street it's on.
Yeah.
This is what we take care of our clients. And so that to me was kind of how I grew. And I just, wanted to get even beyond that, that's where the brokerage side came in.
Yeah. And I love that you brought that up with, okay, you could do this with your kids. So it
Mhm.
wasn't, so it allowed for that kind of that lifestyle but then also for those that have a fear of being on camera, it's like, it doesn't have to showcase you. It's showcasing the area. Like you don't have to be seen, you're just kind of talking and navigating through things, but it's something that anybody can go out there and do, especially with today's technology. I'm guessing back then it was probably, I mean, we didn't have these crazy iPhones that are better than DSLR cameras.
Android, not so great video, make a fake or not a fake, a free YouTube account, stick it on there and then copy paste and stick it in an email, or, just let them know, hey, you can go to the YouTube channel. I have 6, videos waiting for you. But yeah, it was not fancy. I don't even like really being on camera today. So, but I didn't put myself on camera. I would just video. All the videos were 5 minutes or less. And I really think that to me was a huge value for them, and they appreciate it. And you'd be surprised how many clients today. I still get, actually had one reach out again this morning. I'm ready to sell my house and upgrade. And I mean, I can't even work with them. I have to refer them out. But how much referral-based business came from that client moving here and still trusting me 3, 4, 5 years later?
Yeah. So then from there, I mean, you, and I don't want to say lucked out by some of that niche, because you took action to put an ad in place. Like you went out there and found a market, more strategic with it. And, the more action that we take, the luckier that we seem to get,
Right.
right? So you were out there, but then, you built up this amazing niche. And then I think you said 2 years into that, you decided to go the brokerage route. And I'm curious what led to that versus, growing this amazing niche, and maybe then a lot of people go is, growing a team
Right.
around that niche and to expand that. What led you to starting the, jumping into the brokerage side of things?
Yeah, I think I just wanted to figure out a way to get bigger faster, and really finding out some better systems to use. So getting a team together wasn't as desirable of owning a company and running it like a team. And that's kind of what we do, is we run a large company like it's a team. So working with the agents, providing them leads, making sure that they understand the systems, broker support 7 days a week, literally whenever they need us. And I think that's what a team does. And I also have read so much, and I was at KW for a little while, they're big on teams, and you see a large success rate when they are on a team. But I guess the negative side is they can't put it in their name, right? They can't close the deal in their name. So I thought, what if we could run it like it's a team, have large success, but they can be single agents without the failure rate? Because I think I've read recently, it's like a 92% failure rate as a single agent. So why be the brokerage that just brings a bunch of agents on to hit numbers? Why not be like a team and really allow these agents to get successful? But I think selfishly, it was really just to get back running a company. I really just wanted to run a company again. I wanted to get back into the grind, so to say, of everything. I didn't want to just be a team leader. I looked at the company I was working for and thought, what could I do to help agents more, to make this better, and to put kind of my stamp on it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and as you mentioned, I mean, it's in your blood, that
Yeah.
entrepreneurial spirit, and you want to build things and eventually have something, of sellability. It's sad. I've seen, the almost 20 years I've been doing this, 18 years now I've been doing this. I've seen so many get to that point in there where they put 30, 40 years in this business. And then it's like, when they're done, they pull down their license, kind of package up, their desk. And then it's like, there's no exit strategy, and yeah, hopefully they make good commissions and we're smart with those commissions throughout their career, but there's nothing to sell at the end of the day.
And some people are not entrepreneurs. Some people, they like to grow what they do and then they're done. Where I want to have something in 5 years that I'm overseeing, large companies running, I'm overseeing them, I'm spending time with my kids, but I've kind of left a stamp, I've left a name for myself. And it like I said, it could just be selfishly that I like to own, I like to grow, but I also think I have a lot to value or to give and value. And I'm a big learner. I am constantly learning. I'm always wanting to grow and learn for myself. And I think for me, I bring that to my agents and bring that to other franchise owners. I'm a big sharer. I'm a helper, people pleaser. So I want to get out there and do it all.
Yeah, no, I love it. So then, okay, so previous to this, I mean, you had all the flipping experience and kind of call it the family business, if you will. You had a lot of success growing your yoga studio and the yoga business, and were able to exit from that. What were some of the lessons that you took from your experience that you were able to plug into the brokerage side that you think allowed you to scale? And what were some of those things that you, from your past experiences, that allowed you to do certain things right because we see the struggles that so many, I mean, the failure rate that I see for team leaders that then, and I don't know what the failure rate is for brokerage owners. I'm assuming it's about the same, but that end up having to retract back down to either individual agents or end up just staying super small forever. Brokerage owner, team leader is astronomical, because there's a lot more to it than people think.
Yeah, I think what I learned was consistency. When you stop doing what's been working and you try to change too much of your base, like people will get too far ahead and then they start to expand and grow too fast without the proper systems to back them up. They also don't stay consistent with what works. They try to change almost too much and kind of need to humble themselves and remember what started them there. What worked in the beginning can still work later on. Obviously, you start to grow and expand on that. But I think a lot has to do with consistency. I think a lot of people fail because they start making money and then they start to vacation and they start to get away from their business and they don't realize that they have to be in it 7 days a week. This doesn't go away. Like you are every day working in your business in some fashion, right? It doesn't mean you're glued to your office chair, but you have to be in your business. I also think they don't know how to hire. So there were a lot of times where we would pull in bad contractors and then you'd have things get delayed, which made us then make our own construction company. Because it was like, well, let's go get so-and-so licensed and get them going so we can have it in-house, so we can trust that it's done right. So having the right people in place, also don't pay them wrong. Sometimes you put the right people in place and then you pay them very little and then they leave. So you've taken all this time to invest in them, but you wanted to keep more of that for yourself instead of being more generous. So I think a lot of it's consistency, but leadership. How are you treating the people that are with you? Are you appreciating your agents? Are you appreciating your employees? Are they feeling that? And are you helping them grow and learn? So I think my biggest takeaway was really, how do you make sure that you find a core group of people who can stay consistent and grow together? And how are you treating them? Is it good, or are they kind of like stressed that they have to work with you?
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing that, I see, and I've experienced this personally, but that just from stories from agent friends and so forth is it's like, when you're being recruited,
Yeah.
it's like the honeymoon phase and you're so important and then whatever, but then once they got you, then it's like, peace out, see you later. You never hear from them. And, you go a year or two without hearing from your broker owner. And you're like, well, wait a minute. Like, where did all this support go and help go? And it just seems to be this commonality in our business that neglect.
Yeah, I think everybody just wants to pull agents on and sink or swim instead of realizing that agent 4 years down the road is just as important, if not more now, from day one. And same with your staff. They're just as important today as they were when you first brought them on. It's in any relationship. Think about relationships. People get used to their spouse and stop appreciating them, right? And then relationships fail. So I think it's in any relationship that you do, you have to remember why that person was important to you in the first place. These agents are important to our brokerage because without them, we don't have a brokerage. So we need to take time for them, just like you would in any relationship and anybody that you care about, anybody that trusted you to bring them into your life. You have to give that consistency day 355 as much as day one.
Yep. So at that point, were you an indie broker or were you with?
So I was with a company.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so you're with another company. I'm curious of what, because now today you're with First Class. And I can say that I know the benefits of First, just, and maybe I'm a little biased that the founder and CEO is one of my best friends and long-term mentors, and
Right.
but I'm curious because you're with all this experience, you're such a great operator. What led you to making that transition to First Class and realizing, okay, this is the vehicle that we really need to expand as a franchise owner within that system?
Sure. So it started with Charles Benton. So when I met Charles, it was, he had said yes to First Class. And he was like, I was looking for something. So when we met and we were talking, he was like, hey, you want to come do this thing? You can recruit agents. You can still be in production, whatever you want to do. I was like, great. Recruiting agents to me was like, yes, that's like exactly what I do because I know how to bring people in and get them started, get them growing. So we kind of started that one together, but Charles is who said yes to First Class. And then after that, we grew 10 more franchises together. So then I continued to say yes to First Class. It was really because one, the systems in place. I mean, I talk to broker owners now that are not with First Class that are paying thousands, if not tens of thousands for systems that are we have with First Class that we are paying not anywhere near that for, and having the support, but all the back end systems, the corporate office, getting our onboarding process through really smooth. Any agent who's been to another brokerage knows sometimes that onboarding process can be a little bit slow or confusing and not really knowing what to do next. We get agents up and running in 24 hours or less. They're already starting their training. It's a fluid process. So I mean, for me, I got to see before I invested in a franchise, I got to see how it ran for about 6 months before I bought one.
Yeah.
So, I got to really get that insight in, and how quickly this could grow. And I was a believer. Like, I was like, every time there's an opportunity to open another one, I'm like, yes, I'm in. What are we doing next? Because I know it'll do well. I know it'll do well. I mean, we have franchisees opening up that are 30 years in the business and 2 years in the business doing equally as well. And it's when you have the right systems in place that anybody can do a great job. You have great support, you have great systems. And as long as you have the drive to get up every day and do it, your company will grow.
Yeah. So then how long ago was it that you guys made this transition, that you met Charles and then made the transition into First Class with this new franchise that you guys are now growing?
So it would be like 3 years now that we grew the first one. And then we started growing the next after that 6 months later and have just continued. So now we're at 11. Actually, we might have 5 more this month. So
5 more.
yeah, we have 5 more in place right now. I mean, it should if it all goes through smooth and everybody's, stuff all checks out, we should have 5 more.
Yeah, it's so crazy to think about just that expansion and growth in such a quick amount of time.
And you think do it. You think, how am I going to have all these agents and all these franchises, but you have the systems in place. It's kind of like a box that it just keeps replicating itself over and over and over again. So we got the box. Just need more people.
Yeah. So, well, and there's a lot of ways I want to take this. But the first thing is, let's just talk about somebody that is looking to get started, or maybe they already have a brokerage, whether it's indie, franchise, there's a lot of different models with this. But a thing that I see so many that in the brokerage world that kind of get capped around that 30 or 50 agent mark and never are able to get beyond that. And they have, an issue with recruiting, but it seems to be this almost like the same issue that agents have where it's, okay, when I'm slow with clients, I go out there and I lead gen and I convert these clients, but then I get busy with clients and then I quit lead gen. And it seems to be that same trap that I see a lot of broker owners or team leaders get into where it's, okay, they're recruiting, but then once they've recruited, let's just say 5 agents, now they get stuck in the onboarding, getting them produced. Like they don't have a well-oiled machine that allows them to expand. And I know with recruiting being one of your loves, what has been, things that have worked for you or the key or somebody struggling with kind of that recruiting, onboarding, get agents up producing, but keeping that consistent. What are some things that work for you and advice that you give to others that are struggling with that?
Sure. Well, one, I talk to broker owners across the US every day that are struggling with that. I have 6 agents. I have 10 agents. I had 20, but I lost them to a big name company. Like they don't have their systems in place. Plus they're producing. So it's really hard for them to stay consistent. They can't stay consistent. They're producing, they're trying to recruit, then they're pushing production. You're stretching yourself so thin, it's impossible. So the biggest advice I have is partner with the right people to grow your business, because you're never going to grow it to 50 agents. And if you do, you're going to have a hard time keeping retention of those agents. And then you start competing with big box stores. It's like, going for a local hamburger or McDonald's, more people are going to run over to McDonald's because they know the name, right? So putting the right people in place, but if you don't really know how to recruit, you need to have somebody teach you how to do it. And that's something that I do. I teach other broker owners how to recruit and how to build up their franchises. They have to recruit, then they have to push production, then they have to make sure they're retaining their agents. And that's a lot to do. But the first thing to do is recruit consistently. Unless you have at least 10 agents, you're typically not very profitable. And so recruiting is number one. Staying with recruiting is 7 days a week. I recruit a little bit different. I don't recruit where I'm going to lunches. Mine is right over the phone, 30-minute calls. I make sure that I do I say what I'm going to do, right? Or I do what I'm going to say, or whatever it is. So when I talk to them, I make sure that I understand what their need is, and then we're implementing. I'm telling them how we can solve it, and I'm going for it. It's 90% of them talking and 10% of you. So if you're recruiting, stop talking about how great your company is and find out what the pain and the problem is with the agent on the other line, because that's what matters. 80 some 7%, I think the number, as I read last year, of people will come to a company because of the recruiter. That's a huge number. They don't come to a company because of everything you offer. They'll find that out later. They come to the company because of the recruiter. So you have to be either good at recruiting or find a way to get really good at recruiting or hire someone to recruit for you. But if you hire someone to recruit for you, make sure they know your value proposition. What are you giving agents? Not just, hey, we recruit, bring people on. What do we do here? And let them believe in you before they start recruiting. Because if I didn't believe with what First Class was doing, we wouldn't have hired over 200 agents in our first year, because I would have not believed that we are the company to come to. I would have just been recruiting for a company.
Yeah.
You know, so they have to believe it.
Yeah, I love that. And it's, I'm not a brokerage owner, at least not as of yet. And, so maybe I'm a little biased with this saying, but as an agent, a team leader, I look at this as a brokerage exists to help us as agents or team leaders accomplish our goals, get from where we're at to where we want to go in the quickest, most profitable, most effective, efficient manner possible. And I love that you brought that up of, okay, well, I need to listen to them to understand what their pain points are, what their problems are, what their goals are. Because then from there, it's just articulating that you've got the best model to plug them into to get them from where they're at to where they want to go. And whoever that they perceive to be the best vehicle to get them from where they're at to where they want to go is whom they're going to go with.
Exactly. And who's your ideal candidate? Who is your ideal candidate? Can you help a $50 million producer become a $100 million producer? Because if you can't, find out who your niche is. Are you better with helping brand new agents? So advertise for brand new agents. Maybe you're going to have to spend more time training them, but maybe you're great at that. Maybe you have passion for that. So know what your value is too. Don't just talk to talk, right? You got to make sure that you're going to be able to follow through. So, for me, I don't know what I would do with $100 million producer, except for sell them a franchise. Be like, I'm really not sure.
Yeah.
In a year, I think you just need to open a company. I'm not sure what I could give you as an agent, right? So I think you have to also know who's your ideal, just like a niche in real estate, who's your niche in agents? Who are you bringing on that you can actually help? Because if you can't, don't bring them on. Don't just be another company that brings an agent on. Then I have to talk to them later about they're broke a year later when I could have already had them producing.
Yep. Love it. So you talk about systems being so important and we've got multiple different layers of systems here. You've got the systems that you're going to be plugging your agents into, so, you guys are providing, pretty much everything. Their CRMs, pretty much, other than they got to have their laptop, gas in the car, and it's, right? Like you guys have got that covered. But I'm curious with, because I think a lot of our listeners understand the systems on the agent side, but then there's going to be systems that you need on the brokerage side to run. What are some of those that if you found key for you in the brokerage and that maybe your agents aren't necessarily using, but you are using to help you kind of keep all this together?
Yeah. So we use Brokerment to keep track of all of our transactions run through Brokerment. All of our commission splits are in there, and then it's run through QuickBooks. So we can pay an agent out really quick. For recruiting and our CRM, Charles developed our own CRM, which is automatically automated. So everything is so automated and systemized that I can recruit. Before that, I would probably spend about 30 to 40 minutes recruiting. 30, 40 hours a week recruiting. Now I probably spend about 10, if that, recruiting, because everything's just coming right to me. And we've doubled how we've been able to recruit. So, but for us, the Brokerman system, we use KV Core to do lead gen. We have our own lead systems that we are part of. We're actually number one in the state of Georgia right now with one of them. So that's been awesome. But we're able to provide a lot of leads to our agents. So for us, our systems that we really dive into every day is Brokerment, making sure that we're managing all of our contracts, making sure contracts and compliance is taken care of, QuickBooks to run everything else. But I spend a ton of time in our lead systems and our CRM.
Yeah. So when you're recruiting agents and you talked about that, what then though? Because I think people get hung up when I say people, even team leaders, but brokerage owners. Of what do you do for that ongoing support? Because I've even struggled with this with well, we're having trainings and meetings almost on a daily basis, but then it's kind of like death by meeting and training, because at some point they're busy and and so forth. I mean, what are things that you guys have found that work really well for, showing your agents that you care, but then also bringing in effective things that do impact their business in a positive way?
Yes. So when we bring an agent on, we can get them up and running in 2 weeks. So they do a virtual LMS system. So once COVID hit, we kind of moved, of course, like everybody did, more virtual. People weren't coming into the office. They weren't, doing what they used to do. Well, in that, our agents really found that feedback to us was they were getting a better life, work-life quality balance, because they were able to do their meetings from home. They were able to do their trainings from home. They weren't running into the office to do contracts. So we started to systemize everything more. So creating more content for them, having videos in place on how to write contracts, what to do when an amendment comes up. So all of that is accessible to them in a website. So they just go there, they just plug it in. What do I need to look for? And everything is there for them. So that some is in, we utilize Canva, just videos, and put it all in. The other part of it is I have a branch operations manager. So she, besides myself, is available to our agents 7 days a week. So during that beginning process, we do 3 check-ins. They're sent out it's auto generated, but Teresa knows that it's being sent out and that she knows to be ready for that response. We use video ask. We put that in place and do a, congratulations on 30 days. How do you feel like everything's going? So there's constant interaction. But I think the biggest thing is making sure your agents have a good work-life balance. So you're not making them come to the office for everything, especially our agents. They start working with clients within 2 weeks. They're not getting 1 or 2 calls a day. I mean, these agents can be up to 8 to 10 calls every day of brand new clients. So letting them work from home, making sure that they understand all the systems that are in place, and having access to knowing how to write a contract if it's 2 a.m. and who knows, that a client calls them up or texts them that they want to write an offer, they can still do that even if they're a brand new agent, because of the systems we have in place, the videos that are there, and then they have accessibility to us right in the morning. So I think that's the biggest thing, is who's your person that's helping your agents, who's their backup support, and then what do they have accessible to them at all times.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I hear from agents, especially new agents or even struggling agents, they're just lacking the direction. Like they just need the roadmap. And it sounds like you guys have really outlined, based on what your goals are, here's the roadmap. And then you have, whether it's people or systems they can access 24/7, here's the ongoing support that you need as you might have hurdles or bottlenecks on that roadmap.
And get to know your agents. Like, I mean, I can tell by looking in my lead system and my text if an agent's slowing down. I mean, I'll know within a couple days, and then I'll reach out a week later, like, hey Josh, how's everything going? Just want to check in. Hope you and your family are doing well, because I know something's going on. That's how much you should know about your agents. It shouldn't be a month from now, because if it's a month from now, they're probably either getting reached out to by another brokerage, or they're starting to think about who would actually be reaching out to me. Does anybody even care about me at this brokerage? Because I haven't talked to anybody in a month and nobody's contacted me. So if a week goes by and my agents aren't really doing anything, I haven't seen them on a meeting, I'm reaching out, check in. How's everything going? So you should be that in tune with your business that you can see an agent falling off, because you can see it in your systems. You can see it in your lead source, or you just know because you used to communicate so much.
Yeah. I love, being proactive, because by the time they come to you, it's kind of like in my marriage, it's like by the time one of us comes to the other one with a problem, that means that problem's bottling up for a long damn time.
Festering. Yeah.
So you're being proactive with it, and you have those KPIs. I've seen you guys back in systems, and they're phenomenal, where you guys are tracking everything. You're tracking listing agreements, buyer broker agreements, ratified contracts. So you can start to see if there's any element of a dip, and then bam, trigger that, where you can be proactive and stay ahead of those problems. Because the reality is people are going to blame, they're going to point the finger at the brokerage. They're going to look at environment first, right? Instead of taking responsibility. So when they start having problems, the first thing they look at is joining a different team, different brokerage, and so forth.
They want to move fast before, but it has everything that happens in our company. I always say we have to point our finger at ourselves first. If something's going wrong with an agent, what have we not done to help that agent get better at producing, or better at, we know their goals. I have agents that come on that want to make $80,000 a year, and others that want to make $300,000 a year. So if I know your goal, I'm going to push you to that goal. And I had an agent, Dimitri, tell me one time, I think you want me to make more money than I even want to make. I mean, that is how I coach, because to me, it's like, well, if you tell me all the things that you just told me, I can't help it. I'm going to push you to do what it is. I'm invested too. This is a partnership. When an agent comes on with us, you have just gone into business with me. You haven't just come to work for me. We have gone into business together because I rely on you and you rely on me. This is a partnership.
Yeah. I love, and how you guys' system set up, which I love, is it either win together or you lose together. So you do have a big vested interest in their success, and vice versa and so forth. I'm curious with the expansion, because now you guys are expanding so fast. I mean, you mentioned you got 5 potential new locations in the works and so forth. At what point did you realize that expansion, was for you? Instead of just growing, okay, hey, because I mean, you might grow depending on agent saturation in your current market. There's like in my market with 60,000 agents just in our MLS. There are single brokerages here that have 2,000 agents and out of one brokerage, right? What made you decide that expansion, what was the path for you?
Well, we kind of knew right from the beginning we wanted more locations. So we started documenting right from the beginning everything we were going to do wrong and right. What do we need to change? So it was kind of like watching how we were growing, making everything we put everything into keep, that are going well, things that need to be adjusted, then we'd have a meeting on it and make changes. So we started documenting, knowing that we'd want to get bigger than just one location. But truly, the way it happened was an agent came to me and she said, how do I get owning one of these first class? Like, I was at another company for 3 years. I did only a couple deals. I did 37 deals with you my first year. How do I own one of these and do this on my own? How do I get to be part of it? And that's kind of where it started. A lot of our franchise owners are our agents that became great agents with us, did a wonderful job, and reached out to us to grow and expand. And so what we do is we partner with them. We have the box, we have the connection with the lead systems. And so we give them all the tools, we support them, show them how we recruit, and really be part of their company. Because I think it's hard to do it alone. I don't think everybody needs it, but I do think a lot of people find a lot of value in support from a partnership.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you're saying is, almost like the key there is just making sure that you have the right person to lead that next location that you guys are expanding into.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of what we look for, is the right partnership. We give them majority of the ownership. We don't take much from each partnership because we'd rather be expanding a lot of them, giving them the right tools, and then letting them grow and feeling like this is theirs. But we also know that if we don't partner with them, they're going to go through the same problems we did. And so why do that? Why kind of the same way I think about agents? I'm not setting them up to come on and maybe do some deals. I'm setting them up to change their lives, right? Because as much as people want to say, money doesn't make you happy, or money, well, they didn't grow up poor. I grew up poor. It wasn't like this great lifestyle, right? So as I got a little older, I knew I'm never going to live like that again. And I'm going to make sure that my family doesn't have, the same trials and tribulations that I went through. So what am I going to do that? Right. And real estate did that for me. So I just want to replicate that over and over and over again. But you do have to find the right person who has the drive and the mindset and the want to grow. So when I talk to other broker owners and we're thinking of partnership with them, if they say, I really like the 10, 15 agents that I have, that's not the right partnership for us. I want to go put 50 more, 100 more agents, 200 more agents into their brokerage and let it be huge, and then add mortgage and title and everything else that we do into our companies. So those partnerships are really finding that right person who's already a little bit there, and then they want to grow bigger, and we kind of bring that box with us and help them do that.
Yeah. What, and this might sound kind of like a funky analogy, but when I look at what you guys have built and what you're doing is, it's like a Jimmy John's, where it's like, okay, hey, I can go try to start my own sandwich shop, try to figure this out, or I can plug into a Jimmy John's that has a proven model. Like we're going to know where to plot the location. They have the recipe, like everything is proven. Now I still got to show up and do the work, and there's going to be a lot of, hard work that has to go, but the model is there. All I have to do, it's like a paint by numbers system, so you're able to go out there and partner with these people that want, maybe they've been working at your Jimmy John's location. They want to partner with you, so they have ownership in their own Jimmy John's location, but you guys set them up to go out there and succeed and go fast, and one of the issues that I see that so many struggle with, whether it's an agent wanting to join a team or whatever, so many people get so caught up on this, oh, I'm giving up a percentage. and not thinking about the speed and the amount of growth. And yeah, I mean, you might have to, share the pie a little bit, but the amount of expansion, which then over time will lead to so much more net revenue at the end of the day versus trying to reinvent the wheel and figure this out and go through all the resistance and pain.
Yeah. And we can help, you replicate yourself. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people who are opening these brokerages, they're great agents, right? That's why they're doing it. They have so much value, but they're staying in production, and then they're not really replicating themselves to 100, 200 agents. They're just, well, I'll keep producing and just deal with these 10. Why not stop producing and have 100 agents, grow a huge company, and have the right people in place so you can keep growing? Because when you have that much value and that many years in the business and so much knowledge to bring, why bring it to just 10 agents? You can keep expanding and growing, but I think a lot of people do, they get a little nervous, and honestly, in our experience, people like to partner. They like to know that somebody's there. And honestly, so do I. I mean, I like knowing that I have partnerships. We have partnerships with mortgage, partnerships with title. I like knowing that there's somebody else there that kind of had the box. I don't have the box for mortgage, so I went somewhere to partner with somebody who had the box.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And, one of the things that you just mentioned made me think of another question of, just because you personally have been through this, when does somebody know that it is a good time, or they can start planning for that transition of when they move out of production and then become a full-time operator, if you will? Because I see so many, this being an underlying reason of why so many stay smaller and don't expand into what their potential may be, because they stay in production, whether that's out of fear or just not knowing how to transition into, operating to grow, like you mentioned, from 10 agents to 200 agents and so forth.
Yeah, I think it is really hard. Like, even because you get past clients, even like myself this morning, it's hard to just pass that client off. One, you have a relationship with them. And two, sometimes these are huge deals and you're like, wow, I could make $30,000 in commission from closing this one. This is hard to give up, right? So I know a lot of people have struggles to kind of give up what they've been doing for financial security. Now you're depending on these agents to bring you in an income. That's hard. But if you stay in production for a while, get yourself a little nest egg, say 6 months, even if it's a year, but you're going to have to pull out at some point if you have 30 agents depending on you. Because why would you go hire a branch operations manager when you could be the one helping them produce and replicating themselves? So I think the biggest advice is make sure that when you are ready to pull out of production, you haven't, taken your year to go vacation and buy a brand new house. Like, you are smart about it. In 1 year from now, I'm not going to be in production. So let me put the right nest egg in place that I can make sure that I'm fine. Because no matter what, your agents are going to produce and do well. Especially if you're worth first class, they're going to get leads. They're going to do well. It's going to be fine. You'll have the right systems. But I think a lot of people don't pull out because they're financially worried. But if you put all the right tools in place, you won't be worried from a year from now. But I would still say to don't be crazy and don't have a year of spending if you know that that's your out game. But I think people have to be willing to get out. I think it's really hard for broker owners to just stop producing. And a lot of times it's not financial. It has a lot to do with just ego. I want to keep being that person, when you could really start to change all those other agents' lives by the knowledge that you have. But I think it's a very personal decision, and some broker owners don't get out, and it's a hinder. You'll never grow big if you're still producing. There'd be no way, if I was producing today, I would be where I am. There'd be no way. And I know it was very hard for myself, for Charles to get out. I mean, now you start passing your business off to people hoping they'll close the deals in the beginning. It's tough, but it's a very personal decision. But if you don't get out within 1 year of owning your own brokerage, you won't get out and you won't grow big.
Yep. Love it. So then, now, I mean, you mentioned that a lot of these partnerships are with agents, that are within your guys' franchises that end up getting that point where saying, hey, we want to go to that next level. Are you guys, and I'm just curious in case we have anybody that's watching or listening that's like, man, I love this. I love this concept, love this idea. Are you guys considering or taking on partnerships that are maybe from, agents that haven't been with you, or team leaders that haven't been with you, that have the experience that would make a great partner? Are you guys doing that? Are you open to that as well?
Yeah. So we have actually, out of the 11, we have 6 of them, or excuse me, 6 of them are not were not with first class. And 4 out of the 5 for this month are not with first class. So they're
Not
coming
with first class
at
initially,
all.
but then you guys
Yep.
are starting a first class franchising.
Exactly. They're like in Utah with another brokerage, or, and I don't want to drop names, but big company, people who are with big companies are coming over. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Yep. Love that. So to kind of pivot, it sounds like recently you started I don't know what you call it, a new movement, I don't know, new deal,
But
new thing of
I
ladies in real estate. So let's kind of talk about that a little bit. What is it? What inspired it?
Sure. So, well, we just have such a great group of ladies within our first class, and we just are always sharing. And they would come to me a lot for recruiting questions or whatever it was. And I just started putting this little group together where we would start meeting, and called it Ladies in Real Estate. Figured, hey, let's just pull us all together. But it's actually becoming kind of a thing. So we meet every week. We support each other through it. We bring in, like right now I'm bringing into them, other avenues for their businesses to grow. And so they're taking advantage of those opportunities. So I kind of go out and seek more opportunities for our agents, bring in people to teach them, and just help their businesses grow. It's not something that costs money or I charge, or it's really just a group of women who are coming together. And without this group, I mean, I have women telling me all the time, like, this is their meeting every week that they show up to. They come to this because they get growth and knowledge from it every single week. And so it's really just a group of women within first class. I call it Ladies in Real Estate, and we just get together and support each other and grow together. Because when you can grow together, we're not together in business. I mean, there are separate franchise owners across the US, but we come together as one, and we share and we collaborate on what's working, what's not working, how are we training our agents, how are we recruiting, because it's a team effort at first class. That's the biggest takeaway from first class that I got right away, was everybody's willing to share. There's no competing against each other. We're all working together to grow.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. So then, I mean, you guys are, I mean, how frequently are you getting together? And sorry if I missed that. And then, do you have like a private mastermind where you're able to swap ideas, share challenges?
Yeah, we have a Facebook group. We meet every single Tuesday. We do a yearly trip to get together, and it's more just fun. And then we, have each other to lean on. Like right now, I'm literally passing one of the franchises that I don't feel like I could grow as fast with, because I think she needs more in boots on the ground, and I'm not in that state, to one of them. And she was like, just floored, that opportunity's there for her. But that's what we do, is we're not selfish about it. I want to make sure that that one lady I know needs somebody right there. And I have a franchise owner that I know is right there. So instead of being selfish and saying, hey, I know that woman that's in my group is a rock star, and she can take this woman to the right level, what she needs to grow. Her business is only 10 agents right now. She wants 100. She just can't get past it. And I know that we can help her do that, and she can come into the group. So for us, it's really just about bringing us together, and growing our businesses. And it's not against men, because we're starting a podcast and all this stuff, and everyone's like, why can't the guys get on it? Or why can't the guys come on the trip? It's just, when you get a bunch of women together, we can relate. You have single moms, you have moms, we have crazy schedules, and it's nothing against dads. It's just, for me as a single mom, I think a lot of women tell me, I could never do what you do. Or how do you even put in the time? Do you ever even get to see your kids? Yes, I get to go to baseball games, go to their dance classes, be part of their college campus tours, everything they need to do while running my businesses, because that's my drive. That's what I want. And I think when you want something, you should want that for other people. I see myself doing it, and I want to inspire other women to know you can do it too, with the right support, with the right systems. You can have everything that you want. You just have to wake up and want it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think it's so important. And, cause I get asked a lot from coaching clients and agents on my team and so forth, from let's just say moms, or single moms, and they'll ask me, questions, but I'm like, look, I can give you my best guess,
Right.
but by the time I got into real estate, by the time we started having kids, I was already doing well. It's like, dude, my wife's so, by her choice, she always wanted to stay home with the kids. She always has. It's like, dude, I come home and food's magically in the fridge. I go in my closet, close it. Like, I've never had to stress about, like, I've been able to focus on my business and then come home and just have fun with the kid. I haven't had those same stressors. So, for me to help somebody out with that, like, I don't believe that you can truly help somebody unless you've been in that situation yourself. because you don't know the pains, and you don't really know that, I mean, but I know I won't seek a mentor that hasn't personally accomplished and been through what I'm, the pains I'm experiencing, and have accomplished what I'm looking to accomplish.
Yeah, it's hard to walk in somebody else's shoes if you haven't really walked in them. You can say you can relate, but I mean, sometimes my schedule is, get all the kiddos off to school, get to work, come back, make dinner for everybody, do homework, and then go back to work once I get everyone to sleep. And I might work till 2 a.m, but I'm willing to do that because I want my companies to grow. I have people depending on me. But I think when you are a single mom, you have a lot of pressure to do well, and you can either do okay and look at that as pressure, or you can look at that as a major driver to just be huge. And I think that for me is like, my kids are always so proud of me. They're like, oh, mom, you work so hard. And it inspires them. I mean, my son got a full ride to college, and I don't think it's because he's not smart, but I also think he sees his mom working really hard every day for his siblings and himself. And I want them all to do so well. My second one should have a full ride too. And hopefully the next two after that, but you inspire people around you. So you're also setting an amazing example, just like you are for your kiddos. You set a great example of what it should be to be a good person, but also a successful person. And truly, you can do anything. I mean, if you told me I'd have 11 franchises, a mortgage company, a title company 3.5 years ago, I would have been like, geez, I don't think I could have done that. But, it starts evolving, and you just start going, and it starts coming together when you have the right systems. I can't stress the systems enough, because there's no way we would be here without the systems we have.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. I mean, there's only two things that I like to scale: systems and people. But without systems, you can't plug those people in. Like, I don't care how great somebody is, if they don't have great systems to plug into, they can never show you their greatness. So really the key is it comes down to systems, and then once you have great systems, get the right people, and boom, it's somewhat game over, and, based on what you just talked about, because this is an issue for so many in our industry. I mean, the vast majority of realtors are women. And I'm not saying that men don't struggle with this problem, but, and I'm going to say this, I could be wrong on this, but just from, being a team leader for 17 years, and let's just say 70% or more of agents on my team are women, and a lot of those have children. And it just seems to come up in conversations and be more of a challenge for them than, and maybe it's just that the dudes don't, talk to me, but I don't know, but I'm assuming that this holds true. But with that, I mean, you've been somebody that, because it would be easy for somebody to say today that, oh, well, Melanie, man, you've got this machine that you built so you can have the balance. It must be nice to be, but like, dude, I mean, when you started this career, single mom, 4 kids, you had to relocate to, halfway across the country to a new place where you didn't know anybody as a single mom of 4 kids, and then expanding this and growing this at each level, but when we start looking at this, you've been somebody that's been able to make a priority and take care of your health. You're obviously, anybody that's watching this, maybe if you're listening, you can't see, but you're obviously in great shape. And you've been able to, I don't know if I like the word balance so much, because it's not always a perfect balance, but you've been able to figure out how to be there for the important stuff for your kids and be active in their life. Like throughout the different phases, because I'm sure it's been different throughout the different phases of your career. Like what has been the key to kind of keeping that together and making that a possibility?
Yeah, I think for me, it really has a lot of mindset. There was a quote I read one time, and I can't do it verbatim, but it was like, as mothers, we never think we give enough to work, and then we never think we give enough to our kids, right? And that's always a struggle. I don't think you'll ever get away from it. I feel like I never do enough for work, and I feel like I never do enough for my kiddos. But what I do know is what I want for my family. I have a strong direction of what I want for my family. And unless I am working hard in my business, I can't give that to them. I can't give financial security and peace of mind when I lay my head at night knowing my kids are in a safe area, because I didn't grow up in one. They have food in the fridge. I have 3 fridges. They have food in the pantry. I have 2 pantries. Like I work hard so that I know that their needs are met. So I think you're right. There is no perfect balance. And yes, there are times I have to miss things with my kids that I wish I could be there, and things for work that I wish I could be at, because I know I could have done even more. But I think the biggest thing is, what is your why, right? Like, why are you doing all this? And make sure every day when you wake up, that's why when you put your feet on the ground, you go, right? You go exercise, you go eat your healthy meal, you get to the office, you take care of your kiddos and you show up, but you have to partner with the right people to do all of that. And if you don't have those partnerships and you're running by yourself, you have no one to bounce ideas off of, you're running around hoping it all works out, you don't have the right systems in place. But yeah, there is really no great balance, but it's what do you want? I mean, you could do anything you want in life. I mean, I tell my daughter she could be the president of the United States if she wanted to one day, right? I mean, she could. Now, will she win? No, but she could go try and she could get, far in it. But if you don't have that mindset that you can do it, and I think that's where people struggle. They think I'm a single mom, I don't have a lot of time, but you do have time. You can create time. You're just choosing not to.
And by that, you can create time. Do you mean like knowing your why allows you, because it all ends up being trade-offs. Every time you say yes to this thing, you happen to say no to this thing. And I remember Warren Buffett saying, focus is your ability to say no. Like he talks about, hey, I got to turn down, 99 great deals so I can say yes to the one exceptional deal. And it's like, okay, hey, I could go spend 30 minutes watching the stupid Netflix show, or I can invest that 30 minutes in my business, 30 minutes with my kids, or 30 minutes in my health. Is that what you mean by that of because you're so clear on your why, you're able to then make quick decisions as does this align? And if not, it's an absolute no. And if it is, then I'm going for it.
Yeah, it's hard to say no to things, but you will learn to say no. You'll start to prioritize what's really important. You may not have as many friends down the road as maybe you once did, because you have to say no to outside things because you are so focused on your business. But if your why is clear and you want what you want, you have to make sure that you're prioritizing it. So if it means that I cannot be here for dinner because I need to be on this meeting that's providing that dinner, I'm going to stay at that meeting. And my kids are going to understand because they are loved, they are well taken care of, they are supported, and they know that I'm working hard. But I think a lot of people have guilt if they are taking away from their families to go into their business, or they look at women and say, oh, you're not such a great mom because you don't spend every second with your children. Well, no, I am. I'm an amazing mom because I'm showing them what it is to be successful in life and to grow a good business and to have sacrifices. There's going to be things that aren't always going to play out right. But yeah, I think it has a lot to do with just what's your why? How much do you want something? What's more important to you? And it doesn't mean your kids aren't as important to you because your business provides that for them. And there's no real estate agent out there that's, unless they're doing amazing in real estate, that's not financially struggling. There's not one. They always have some type of struggle, right? But if you start to look at your day and you time block, I wake up at 5 a.m. I used to wake up at 7, but now I wake up 2 hours early. Maybe I have to get a little less sleep to accomplish my goals, but I'll sleep a little bit less. Is that going to kill me? No, it's not going to kill you. So you're going to reprioritize and restructure your day. If you feel like you're not making enough money, or you feel like you're not having enough time with your kids, time block it all. 7 to 9, I'm doing this. 9 to 1, I'm doing this. 6 to 8, I'm only with my kids. After 8, I got to get back to work again, maybe. But you have to time block and structure your day, including your children's activities, or even, like I even have like coffee scrub. It's like 8 p.m. on Thursdays. I do a coffee scrub. It's on my calendar. So, I mean, make it that prioritized, because you will get so busy that you won't have the same lifestyle, but you also will have such great peace of mind. For me, I'm like thankful every day. Attitude of gratitude. I wake up very thankful for everything that I have. I never take anything for granted, even waking up.
I love it. And one of the things that you said a moment ago too, I think is so important that a lot of people will miss of, you mentioned that like you're being that leader for your kids to view, kids don't do what we say, they mimic our actions, and so many parents are out there like, telling their kids to chase their dreams, goals, passions, visions, but then they sacrifice their own personal goals and they accept a job that they don't love, whatever, they give in to, and they think that maybe they're doing it to give their kids a better life, but then their kids repeat and go the safe route and don't. So, you're teaching your kids work ethic, right? But then when you're chasing your dreams, goals, and visions, and your kids seeing you work at that, that's going to increase exponentially the likelihood that they're going to do the same thing and not settle in life for, the good enough. They're going to go after what they're looking for as well.
Yeah. I mean, you really, the great part about life is you don't have to settle. You really can, draw your own path. And I'm not a person who grew up with money and had all these opportunities and all this great stuff. And even though my family was in real estate, that didn't really happen till I was in my late teens and started getting into that. So early childhood, I could have looked at all of those factors and, just said, well, this is just what it is. But you got to look outside of that and realize like you really have the potential. I think a lot of people have such limiting mindset, and I check myself on it because I'll have it too. It's like, I have to remind myself, like, I can do this, but everybody has limiting mindset. It's just making sure you break through that so you don't continue to let that hinder you grow your business. And maybe people don't look at business the same way, but to me, this is the best thing you can do is to own your own company. You have full control over it. If you're a strong leader, you can bring people with you and everybody get to the same goal, and you can change their lives just like they're doing for you.
Yeah, I love it. So what's the I don't know, it might be hard to say long-term vision, but like, maybe even the 5-year out vision for what you guys are looking to create now. I mean, you're on the verge of launching about 15, having 15 franchises, 10 or 11 active today. And you've got these other 5 that are coming on board here shortly. How big do you want to expand this? And then a follow-up, just so I don't forget, is what keeps you personally going? Because you're at a point right now where I'm guessing you could just be like, hey man, life is great. Let's just maintain what we have. The worst enemy to greatness is good enough, right? Like what keeps you driven when you're at a point where you don't necessarily need to keep growing and expanding? You can live a great life, status quo.
Yeah, I think I really like today talking to 2 more franchisees that might be coming on is very exciting to me. I also think the potential, I get to know people when I talk to them. I don't just have a conversation like we're first class, this is what we do. I kind of find out about them, where they're struggling and what's happening. So then I start to think of how can we as a company change not just their business life, but what would their personal life look like if that business life could change? And I know from personal experience, it's night and day when you can have great business and financial security in place. Your life at home is so different. So I think for me, what keeps me going is knowing that I've been so blessed, and I want to just keep replicating this over and over again. So having 100 franchises in 5 years, several more mortgage companies, probably 100 of them, because I'd like to have each franchise have their own mortgage and title company. So 100 franchises, 100 mortgage companies, 100 title companies, all in place, everybody running well. And well doesn't always mean like we'll do 144 million at our one office this year. We're projected. We typically go a little bit over, so we're pretty conservative with our numbers. So just one of our locations will do that, and they have a staff of 4. Imagine that revenue from that for those 4 people, right? So to me, I think what drives me every day is, one, I'm a bit of a control freak, so I do like to be very involved, but I do like the growth. I think growth really inspires me, gets me really excited. I love getting a franchise up and then I'm ready to move on. Like, all right, let's get the next one up. Okay, great. They're doing great. Move on. I'm not trying to control them after it's all done. I just want to make sure that it does really well, gets there and get to the next one, get to the next one, get to the next one, because we can really do so much, like just like a doctor helping you with your health. I mean, if you have something wrong and you go to a doctor, they can change your life by giving you this medicine, right? And that might sound dramatic, but I feel like that's what we can do. So why hide it? Why sit behind and just kick back and enjoy your life? Well, that's great. But to me, enjoying my life means helping more people and growing and expanding.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy under the system and umbrella that you guys are under. I have a buddy that joined several years ago with First Class. And now this is an individual agent, and I'm like, well, dude, like maybe you should grow with a little bit of a team first and get a foundation. He's like, no, I'm just going to go buy a brokerage at First Class. And a year later, he's 40 some agents. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, how'd you do that? Right. Like it's because, what you mentioned, everything is there, from helping you support your agents to supporting the franchisees. It's just insane what this proven model is able to obviously it takes a tremendous amount of focus and work. And, I'm guessing, not all First Class franchisees are doing what you're doing, but gives you the capability to do this as big as you want to do it.
Yeah. And I think just a small piece about to be plugging First Class all day. I mean, obviously I love being here and doing what we do, but I think I talked about kind of the culture and how we're all very supportive, but there's also meetings that we do every quarter we go to. So we went to Virginia recently, and you just come back super inspired. Like everybody leaves that meeting, whether you're a brand new franchisee or you've been in it for a really long time, you walk out of there inspired. You don't just leave. It's so much value is always given. Ladies call, tons of value given. All of our meetings, tons of value given, because everybody's working and growing and learning together what we can be doing better. Just like real estate, we are shifting constantly. We don't just lay down and like, this is how we do it. Continue to pass out 500 business cards a day and hope your business grows. We don't do that. We continue to shift with the market. And I think that's what First Class does really well too, is they kind of shift, but they also make sure that they keep us as franchisees growing and really strong in our knowledge and our value.
Yeah. And I know, I mean, you mentioned you're talking about First Class a lot, and it's like, look, I mean, you're a believer, you're with them. It's, changing your life and so many lives and so forth. But it really comes down to, I think Charlie Munger said this, Warren Buffett's business partner. He's like, look, it doesn't matter how hard you're rowing if you're in the wrong boat,
Yeah.
and I think that's the key is in First Class may or may not be the solution for everybody, but it's about finding what that right boat is for you, where that right vehicle is, and then go row your ass off. But you can be rowing your ass off, but if you're in the wrong boat, meaning if you have the wrong vehicle, like it's you're just gonna have resistance and pain for a long, long damn time until you find that right vehicle. And you guys have found that right vehicle for you.
Yeah. And I think sometimes you don't know what you don't know. Right? You don't know sometimes what you're missing when you're just rowing it and you're not even realizing that this one piece is missing. And so if you're not collaborating and you don't have somebody kind of mentoring and reaching out and taking care of that piece for you, you don't even know how to grow beyond it. So it might not even be that you're in the wrong boat or the wrong company. It might just be that you don't have the knowledge to do it yet. And I'm not really good at automating things, or, don't get me teaching a class on KV Core. Like I would be a mess in it, right? Because it's not for me, any type of CRM system, I could use it, but I'm not going to dive into it like I'm going to your recruiting and how to push agents, production and how to build relationships with people. That's my thing. So sometimes you're also missing the right people in your boat.
Yep. Yep. Love it. And then, I know we're going long on time here, but I got a couple last questions for you. You talked about meeting Charles, and then, and that kind of led this, the start of this new journey for you. I've had partnerships that are life-changing, but I've also had partnerships that have been hell. It's just like a marriage, but in the business world, and selection, choice selection is everything. For those that are looking for a business partner, if you will, what have been some of the key things that you think has allowed your partnership, your business partnership, not speaking of, because I'm guessing, you guys partner, like whatever you partner on. And now you're partnering mortgage, like you've got a great symbiotic relationship. Or you guys might go partner in, I don't know, a fast food chain, whatever it is, like you're probably going to do, like something's there with that partnership. What would you say has been the key for that, for somebody that is looking for doing this in a partnership way?
Find somebody who is opposite you. Right. So we can come to the table and we're going to talk about two different things. We don't both recruit. We don't both push production. We do separate parts of the business. So it's almost like we're running two different companies within the same company. So I think the biggest thing is not being both of you as the recruiter, both of you as the person who talks to the agents all day, but that's my specialty. This is what I do. So I get to come to the table with value because this is what I'm growing. And then you're doing all the other end of everything else that has to do with that brokerage. But don't find the same person who recruits like you, who wants to push production like you. Find someone who wants to automate systems, who want to work the bookkeeping and all the things that run the company, the back end, and then you go be that front end person. So I think that's the biggest thing, is kind of finding, Charles could recruit just as good, if not better. We always joke around, we'll have a competition, right? Because he's been doing it too for a long time, but it's not what he does in our companies. And I think that's the biggest thing, is it doesn't mean the person isn't good at it, but what do each of you want to do to create a perfect marriage? They say like marrying your opposite is the best marriage, right? Doesn't always work out, but they say that, right? You have a more outgoing person, someone a little more introvert. You don't always have two extrovert people in a relationship, because then they're almost competing for the same spot. And so I think you have to find a partnership where whatever is kind of your weakness or the things you don't want to do, they want to do. So when you come to the table together and you sit down and you're collaborating, you get to come with two different value propositions and be able to grow together. You're not just both focused on one thing.
Yep. Love it. All right. So Melanie, for those that are watching, listening, maybe they want to, reach out, have a conversation with you about a potential partnership, or maybe they're an agent. I don't know what all the locations, that you're in. I know you're personally in Georgia, but I don't know.
North Carolina now, but I have other, if there's an agent that wants to reach out to me first, and I'll get you with another first class franchisee. If you're in Vegas, like Ashley Lazowski's out in Vegas, she's amazing, can push agents over there if they can't reach her. So I'm happy to really talk to anybody across the US. I'll get them in the right direction, even if it's not with us.
Perfect. So, whether you're an agent that's just looking to maybe open to a move and want to see all the amazing things that first class offers and so forth. Or if, I don't know, you're a team leader or somebody that is really interested in partnering with you guys, in one or multiple of these franchises and being able to kind of replicate and plug into this amazing system that you've created. Where's the best place to reach out to you, to get in touch with you? How does that look?
Well, I mean, I'm really big, like just call me and text me. Like I don't need a professional email sent to me, just like, hey, it's Josh, seen you on the podcast. Here's my number. I'm a broker owner. Love to talk. Like send me a text, because I'm not, I mean, I can do an email, whatever, but I love people just text me. Just text me. Let's set an appointment. Let's speak. And let's just see if it could work, whether as an agent or a broker. But yeah, text me.
Okay. And are you okay if we put your cell number in the show notes below, so anybody can just go click on that and shoot your text, make it super easy on them?
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
All right. Awesome. I love it. All right. So one last question for you as we wrap up here. Knowing everything that you know now through this, amazing experience and amazing career that you've had, if Melanie today could go back and have a conversation with the Melanie when you first started this journey and give yourself a couple pieces of advice that you feel would have, really fast forwarded this success trajectory that you're on, knowing everything you know now today, what would those couple pieces of advice look like?
Automate your systems. Automate your systems. And if you don't know how, get someone to automate your systems, because this is the way I like to do business. Is I don't like to have as much staff as I like to have as much, pay those key people the right way and more money, and automate the rest of it. Automating your system is going to clear human error, and it's going to make you move a lot faster. So automating the systems, focusing on recruiting very heavy in the beginning. Even if you end up losing some agents because you didn't have everything else perfect, don't be so methodical in your thought process that you never start. Because I think I'm not like that. So that would have not really been advice to me, because I am just too much of I go a little too fast sometimes. And Charles is more methodical and he'll think it through, but I will push so hard into anything I'm about to do. So don't wait for everything to be so perfect before you start recruiting and start bringing agents to you. You might lose a couple agents, and maybe that's not ideal, sure, but if you never start. So my advice to myself would have been automate your systems way sooner, because we didn't start till a year in. And I think of how many people we probably missed because things weren't automated. But also just get out of your own way. Like there's things I've held myself back for, going on podcasts I've been invited to because I was too nervous, making videos because I get too nervous, putting myself on social media more because I get too nervous, like, kind of getting out of your own way. You get me on a one-on-one phone call, I'm great, love to teach the agents, all that, but putting yourself out there is kind of hard sometimes, but not thinking it through like you have every day to live. Like we're not going to be here forever. So it's like, just go for it. If you're ready, and even if you think I only have one agent, I can't really open up a brokerage. Why not? Because I can show you how to get 50 more.
Yeah. Don't
stand in your own way. Just keep going. Because I wish I would have not been as nervous to do some of the things I'm doing today. And that, that would be my biggest advice, to kind of get out of my own way and stop worrying about what other people think about you. If you have a good heart and you're going for it, and you have good systems in place and you can share and mentor somebody else, just put yourself out there and do it.
Yep. Such powerful words of advice. And Melanie, we truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to be here. This has been amazing and been a lot of fun and been an honor.
Fun. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you letting me come on, and thank you everybody for watching.
100%. And those of you watching and listen, we truly appreciate you being here. Truly appreciate all your support. Keep kicking ass, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace.